his career is probably over, and he's fine with that. He said that, if that's it, then that's fine. I think that at that point, I think everybody pretty much assumed he was going to get the neck surgery, and he'd be out for a year, and then at that point he would make the decision if he wanted to try to come back or not. That much better yet. I mean, bodies heal.
Have to be careful.
Yeah.
This doesn't sound good.
Well, his neck was really messed up at the end, and he didn't want surgery.
No inclination right now. No desire to wrestle right now. He said that his last 6 months were very hard. His neck was really bad. He hasn't had neck surgery.
Now, she was on the Nikki and Brie podcast and just kind of said that she didn't think she'd be around for much longer because she always wanted to have kids young, and all of a sudden she's 37 years old and she hasn't had kids, and she's looking to kids. So that's kind of what she talked about. So this may be, I don't know how much longer she's going to go, but she gave the indication it wouldn't be much longer.
I also had a Bryan Danielson interview where he was asked about if he's going to wrestle again, and he pretty much said, no inclination right now, no desire to wrestle right now. He said that his last 6 months were very hard. His neck was really bad. He hasn't had neck surgery yet, doing stem cells, may need neck surgery down the road. And basically said 95% chance he doesn't wrestle at
Wembley.
At Forbidden Door.
At Forbidden Door.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
But he did say that sometimes people get hurt. If Tony says we need you, it was something he could do, but he would have to be careful.
Yeah.
This doesn't sound good.
Well, his neck was really messed up at the end, and he didn't want surgery. He didn't want to get the surgery because he doesn't. I could see that. Like same thing with Sting. Like WWE retired Sting because they basically told him to get neck surgery, and he just decided that I'm not going to get neck surgery because it's a real painful thing. It's a year recovery, and if Sting was at that point probably figured he would never wrestle again. There was no AEW, and then he felt better. And Danielson probably isn't feeling that much better yet. I mean, bodies heal. I don't know the like whether his damage is healable or not. I don't really know. When he retired, he never said retired, but when he finished up, he went about as far as he could go. And I think that at that point, I think everybody pretty much assumed he was going to get the neck surgery, and he'd be out for a year, and then at that point he would make the decision if he wanted to try to come back or not. And I think that he's trying to avoid the neck surgery, and which lessens the chance of coming back. But I think he's come to, he's basically said he's kind of come to grips with the idea that his career is probably over, and he's fine with that. He said that if that's it, then that's fine. I think originally, the idea was that he would wrestle a few matches a year, things like that, but not go full time. And he had talked about wrestling until he was 60 or 70, but and who knows what's going to happen. The first time he was retired by WWE, he said that he thought it was too early. He was not happy. He wanted to continue, and this time, he doesn't have that inclination where he wants to come back. He talked about a lot of other stuff too when he was promoting that show, but really praised a lot of people in AEW. Talked about his favorite matches. Mentioned he had 2 matches with Adam Page, and he said that Adam Page was one of his favorite opponents that he ever had. I think he only worked with him twice. One of which was a 60-minute match, which I think is by far the longest match that Adam Page ever had.
We've also got AEW in Arena Mexico, which perhaps is sold out.
I have not got it confirmed that it's sold out, but a lot of tickets have been sold. And it will be. I'm sure it will be a sellout come the day of the show. That's for the Wednesday taping. I expected that. They haven't had a show of this caliber. WWE's never run a pay-per-view there. They have not run a TV taping there since, it's like 13 years, I think, maybe 14 years. It's a long time. And the basic reason is because WWE doesn't want to do it on their own. They want to be, when they go to a country like Mexico, they want a local promoter to bring them in. And the local promoter brought them in. The cost of doing a TV taping inside, were prohibitive to the point where they couldn't make money. And WWE didn't want to do this on their own, so they haven't done any TVs. And in doing so, they did leave the door open because AEW can come in with this TV taping. It's the first time there's been a TV taping in Mexico City. TNA may have. TNA did TVs. MLW did TV in Tijuana, but not Mexico City. So it was kind of like one of those things where it hadn't been done in so long, so there was demand for that. But I think all the shows will end up doing well. The other shows aren't sold out, but Mexico is most of Mexican ticket sales are done the last couple of days anyway. And these shows are mid-June. They're doing June 17th they're in Mexico, which will be a joint show with CMLL and AEW and ROH. Then the Wednesday's the TV taping, which is the pure AEW show. Although there will be CMLL talent like Mystico and Masquerade on that show, and probably others. And then Friday is the Fantastica Mania, which will have New Japan, Rev Pro on that. And then Saturday at Coliseo, they're also going to have foreign talent on that show as well. And then I would expect on Sunday as well. Although the AEW talent, most of them will be going home because AEW is running in Kent, Washington on that Saturday. And I think that's with hindsight being what it is, I think that the idea, it probably would have been a better idea. I don't know about financially. Financially, it might not be. But for atmosphere and everything, the idea if they could have gotten a taping, and again, maybe next year they can do it, a taping on a Saturday night at Arena Coliseo, if they could work that out, because it is CMLL night, and CMLL, may have just, it's our tradition, it's our night, and everything like that. But a Saturday night TV taping at Arena Coliseo, would be an instant sellout. And Arena Coliseo, actually, because it's a smaller building, you actually get an even louder audience than you do at Arena Mexico. But these are show, this is some big stuff. I have not heard how the UK tickets, they had, was it Glasgow and London. They have pre-sale out. I don't know if it's on sale to the public yet, but it will be in the next couple of days how that show does. That will be very interesting because, obviously, the first 2 times they were in London, they went to Wembley and, did over 50,000 the second time, over 80 the first. And this, going to O2, you're talking about maybe 15, 16,000 available seats. They're very high ticket prices, but it's not a novelty anymore, but it's still only one show a year. So, and AEW is not that hot right now, business-wise, but, Forbidden Door is a pay-per-view. I think that'll do real well because, London's been a pretty darn good city for American pro wrestling when they go there. WCW, even when they were, on the way out, they went to London and still drew very, very well. And earlier, I remember they went to London and, the WCW during the Sting era, in the early 90s, when they weren't drawing at all in the United States, and they went to, London and did over 10,000 people. So, they like their American wrestling big shows. TNA drew, the first several times they went, they drew very, very well. By the end, they were not drawing as well, when they come to the weekend.
Luthez.
Yeah, so today would be the 23rd anniversary of his death at the age of 86. And obviously one of all-time greats. I mean, it's a weird story because he died. He had open heart surgery, and he after the surgery he never recovered. I think he was fighting for a couple of weeks, and then he passed away, which is really stunning because I had talked to him like literally right before he went in for surgery, and he had a lot of bravado anyway. But he was an 86-year-old guy having open heart surgery, and he was just like he was joking with me about it. It's like it's nothing, it's a little heart surgery. I think I called him because Bobby Manigoff, who was a contemporary of his, one of the great wrestlers of that era, had passed away, and so I called him to ask him. And he was telling me all about Bobby Manigoff. They were very, very good friends and everything. And Bobby Manigoff was a world champion and a booker in Montreal and things like that. And he's just like, oh yeah, I'm having heart surgery, a couple hours, and but that's nothing to worry about. I'll be fine. And he wasn't. But he he just seemed calm as calm could be. He didn't seem to get like a worry in the world. It wasn't until like several days later when I started hearing the stuff about how he's not getting up after surgery. And even then, I just didn't think he was going to die. He was one of those people that his parents lived very, very long, as his father did. And I know he had a sister who was well over 100 when she died. So the longevity really was in that family. So I always figured that he was going to live to be like in his late 90s. So even at 86, with open heart surgery, you kind of I was worried. I was worried, but at the same time, it was kind of like it's Luthez, But so anyway, that was kind of a great professional wrestler, one of the greatest of all time.
All right, before we get to Raw, what do we have in terms of ratings?
Well, we only had the SmackDown number, which was really good. I mean, for a 3-hour show, it wasn't as good as the week before, but it wasn't going to be. The night before.
Hey, by the way, is it true? Like, what is it, June 6th?
I don't have that confirmed, but it's going to be right around that time. Yes.
The move back to 2 hours.
Yes.
Please, God.
Yes. I mean, I've asked around, and no one has gotten back to me, but I was told months ago that it's essentially the end of May when it's going to happen. So it's going to be one of those weeks right around then. Yeah. So we got about a little over a month, right?
Yep.
Right, a month of SmackDowns before they go back to 2, which is going to be better for a lot of reasons. Although I will say the Saturday show was pretty damn good, but 2 hours is definitely better than 3 for SmackDown. But anyway, it's 1,599,000 viewers and 0.51, which is really good. It did 0.44 and 1834, which is fantastic. That was better than the week before. I think that's the best number by far that they've done on USA since they went back on the network. So whatever it is, and it was also a night with really tough competition. I mean, there were 7.5 million people watching the NFL draft, head to head. And then you had 2 NHL playoff games, which didn't draw very well, but still, it's 2 NHL playoff games, 2 NBA playoff games, which did the one on TNT did really big. The one on the NBA Network, NBA TV, didn't do nearly as big. But still, you're talking about UFL game, although that didn't draw well either on Fox. But just a lot, very, very deep competition. And the draft was just like, there's so much interest in that draft. I think it was one of the biggest second days in history. But I heard so much about that draft. Excellent number. Yeah, really, really excellent number.
All right, we should mention they've added a little bit to NXT tomorrow, besides the Ricky Saints Lexus King North American title match and Hank and Tank versus Briggs and Inamura for the tag titles. They've added that Io Sky will appear on the show.
They're probably doing something with Stephanie Vicar.
Yep, and Joe Hendry has been invited to resolve his issues with Trick Williams.
So they're building up to a match there. The Becky Lynch Lyra Valkyria match is now official for the St. Louis pay-per-view, by the way. That was not announced on television. They announced it after television ended for whatever reason. I don't know why they didn't announce it on TV, but it's not just AEW that does these things.
Well, we got Lyra, Becky Lynch, Pat McAfee, and Gunther. God damn that Pat McAfee promo that guy did. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
That was a great promo.
I thought a little too melodramatic, but overall, yeah.
He was watching Ric Flair promos before he cut it. But I mean,
is that what it was?
I think there was a lot of that in there.
To me, it's like when I died, I'm 6 feet under. I thought, you're doing a pro wrestling match. He's not going to kill you. You know what I mean?
He's just talking about his life. That had nothing to do with pro wrestling.
Yeah, but he's not that old.
He's pointing out that as a person, he wants to be remembered as somebody who stuck up for his friends.
Yes,
like
that part was really good.
Yes.
Overall, his delivery was great. Yeah, he did a great job. That announcer stuff almost always works, and yeah, they're going to do the match, and he'll probably do real well. It's going to take some chops, but he'll probably do real well in the match.
All right. Well,
yes, Jey Uso against Logan Paul, and of course John Cena and Randy Orton. So that's 4 matches right there.
Yep.
Top 4 matches. So
the show's in 2 weeks.
Yeah, so it's probably going to be a 5 or 6 match show anyway. And
may only be 4 or 5.
Well, I think they'll do at least 5.
Yeah.
But it may only be 5. It may end up being 6. But they still have, it could be Tiffany and Nia Jax. Something with Jade and Naomi or something. There's a lot of different programs they got out there that they could be doing.
By the way, I should mention an update from yesterday. I don't know the circumstances, but JDC was supposed to be in that match, and he did legitimately miss the show.
I think that was pretty obvious.
Yes. Well, it worked out so great that I thought maybe that wasn't, because he made Moose work twice. He got beat. They set up a match. He had an out. It worked out great, honestly.
Yeah.
All right. The Raw show opened up with Nick Aldis filling in for Adam Pearce, who was gone. So Nick Aldis was GM for the night. They noted that Gunther had been suspended indefinitely for what happened with Pat McAfee.
Indefinite suspension 1 week.
Well, that's because it was requested to be lifted. Yeah. And then they recapped the end of last week's Raw. And so out comes Seth, Paul, and Braun. And I should note that we are now no longer in front of WrestleMania crowds.
And they're still getting cheered.
They're normal crowds now, and they saw these 3 men as total babyfaces. They cheered Seth. They sang his song. He starts doing a promo, and he says, "I know it's hard for you people. You wanted to chant for CM Punk," and he pauses, and he waits, and there's no CM Punk chants. Even Pat McAfee had to say, "Well, there might be a couple people here," and Seth is clearly waiting for the chance that they don't come.
But they chant for Roman Reigns.
And then he mentions Roman Reigns. They get no OTC chant, and he said he, Paul, and Braun were the future of the industry, and Sami Zayn's music hits.
They're the stars. At the end, I just want to bring this up because at the end, Braun Breaker gives the show ends with Braun Breaker giving Sami Zayn one spear after another, and then like this crazy run around the ring spear. And Sami Zayn did this great babyface promo, and all through the show he's doing great babyface promos, and he's getting speared to death, and they're trying to get all the sympathy in the world, and the crowd ends chanting one more time.
Dude, it wasn't even ended. He gave him that first spear at the end, and they were already chanting one more time. And they chanted one more time after every spear, and then they barked for Braun Breaker, and they're going crazy for these guys. And I mean, we'll see what happens, but I mean, this is what happened with Tony Storm. It's what happens with Hurt Business. It's like you got these heels, because Tony was a heel for a long time, and you feed them all these baby faces, and no one cares about the baby faces. They just cheer the heels. And
it's going to be tough when Sami Zayn can't get over as a babyface.
Well, if that happens, it may just be time to make some sort of pivot. Because
if he's not going to, I don't know.
No one else is.
Yeah, especially because they're new and cool. You know what I mean? Like if it's a year from now, maybe it's different. But right now, it's going to be tough sledding because they're the top babyface group in the company.
So Sammy comes out and he does a promo, and essentially he says, "I think this group is crap." And Seth says, "Why? We're great friends. We've always been good friends. I had a child." Actually, they had several segments during the show going back and forth, including the main event. But we'll get to that. So Sammy finally says, "Listen, you're a hypocrite. You got a new bloodline here. You got a wise man, a little dog over there, who, by the way, if he keeps looking at him, I'm gonna kick his face in." And Seth says, "Sammy, you need to calm down. Came out here to be honest with me. I'll be honest with you. This is the vision for the future. You're either with us or you will be a target. And I like you. I don't want you to be a target. So I can have Paul pull some strings. I can get you moved off of Raw. And not a threat. It's just an offer. Think about it. But I need an answer by the end of the night." And so off he goes.
So that's the show-long storyline.
Yeah, show-long storyline of what's Sammy going to do. So we had Rhea Ripley versus Roxanne Perez. And Roxanne's got new hair, new gear, looked great. They had a good match.
Good match.
They made it very clear that Roxanne is still considered an NXT superstar, even though she's been pretty much on the main roster here and there since the Royal Rumble. And it's now almost May. Yeah. But anyway, they're doing this match. Everything's looking good. And then all of a sudden, Julie hits the ring for the DQ. Which actually later in the show, when they put that crawler on the bottom of the screen, they said it was no contest. So they beat down Rio.
I have no idea why.
That's what they wrote.
I know they wrote it. Yeah, it was weird.
So the heels beat down Rhea. Io Sky makes a save. She makes a big comeback. She gets cut off. Rhea returns. So we've got a tag match incoming here.
Yep.
We had Finn backstage meeting with JD. He said, "I got to talk to you, JD. I'm really happy you're back. But like, why didn't you tell me you were coming back last week?" And JD says, "Well, I told Dom. I thought Dom would tell you." And Finn's kind of upset, but then Liv walks up and she says, "Shouldn't you guys be getting ready for the match?" And Finn says, "What match?" And she says, "Well, got you a match. I know you want the tag team titles. Got you a match against the War Raiders for later." So Finn's kind of happy about that, but he's also a little upset. And he goes,
"Just didn't tell him.
In the future, if you guys make decisions, let me know." Logan Paul comes out for a promo, and he starts kind of promo on, of all people, Jey Uso. He says, "I've done it all in this business, but I've not won a world title. Jey, your days are numbered." So Jey comes out, and he says, "I watched Gunther beat my twin to a bloody pulp, lit a fire under me. This title wasn't given to me, it was earned. It's mine. If you want it, come get it." So Logan says, "I've done more in 4 years than you did in 15. Is that how it's going to go? That title, I want the..." He basically challenges him for a title shot. And so Jey super kicks him, lays him out. And that is Jey Uso's first challenger, Logan Paul.
Yeah, I think it's a good one.
It's fine, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one. I mean, he's got several that are coming. So, I mean, you got to think that the big one is Seth, but probably that's not until right SummerSlam.
Got to be ways down the road.
Yeah.
War Raiders versus Finn and JD with the New Day doing commentary. So the New Day is just burying Ivar this entire match. They're calling him fat. He's a big fat guy. What's so cool about being agile when you're fat? But then they also put him over. They're like, man, this guy did have a great singles run. Now he's stuck to this Eric guy. So, of course, they make a big comeback, and JD ends up hitting Eric with a jawbreaker. He goes up top. Carlito takes a ref. Penta runs down. Next JD. War Raiders hit their finish.
He was supposed to. It didn't exactly work out that way.
Well, guy's got a goddamn his neck.
He missed that one.
War Raiders hit their finish, get the pin. So we got New Day versus War Raiders in a rematch coming up, and Penta and JD also coming up.
Then JD's next week.
Yeah.
The New Day and War Raiders could be pay-per-view. Could be TV.
So then we had a great segment here because it was part of the show-long storyline, but it is also part of the multi-year storyline because Paul meets with Sammy, and he goes, "We're OG bloodline." Sammy says, "That's right, but you blew it with whatever that is at WrestleMania." And Paul says, "I respected when you broke away. Maybe someday you'll respect why I did what I had to do. And whether Seth is the future or not, he sees himself that way. And Braun Breaker, he wants a match with you. But Seth holds you in such reverence, he's offering you a pass. He says, if you accept being traded to SmackDown, everybody wins. I've talked to Pearson Aldis. I'm going to do you a favor. If you move to SmackDown, you will be the automatic #1 contender, and you will face the winner of Cody Rhodes and John Cena." And of course, the story for the last few years has been that Sammy has never won the world title, and that's what he wants more than anything else. So he says this, and now Sammy's got a lot to think about.
It actually made sense to go.
It sure did, but we found out later that Sammy doesn't run away.
Yeah.
He should have ran away after that main event tonight. He probably should run.
Well, here's the thing: it's like he wants to win the world title, and he gets destroyed in his match. It's like, what makes him a world title contender?
Well, he's not now. This is a long-term thing.
Well, I know he's going to win a world title at some point because they've been doing the story for years.
Then we had Becky coming out for a promo. She said, "Bailey was tragically taken out, but there's no mystery here. I've examined the evidence, and it was me." She said, "Why are you people booing me?" They did at least boo Becky.
At first, she came out to very little reaction. When she first came out, most of the people were cheering her. There were some boos, and then people stopped cheering her as she, basically did a heel promo. And I think she did pretty well by the end. But at first, the people, they really weren't booing her much. There were some people who were doing it, but she did a good job. And
she basically came out and said that, "You guys, why are you booing me? I attacked Bailey because she has been attacking me nonstop since 2019. And she out there crying about, why aren't I a bigger star? Well, you saw what a big star looked like at WrestleMania." And she says, "Lyra, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, but the friend of my enemy is also my enemy. You teamed with this woman I've been fighting with for 6 years. I tried to get you to ditch that bitch," she says. "You never would have won those belts with Bailey, but too late, you're already a loser." So she's getting booed here, and then Lyra comes out. And the problem is, Becky is a heel, but the people they like Lyra well enough, I guess, but she is not a dynamic promo. It's very monotone, and very quickly the people decide we're going to give her the what treatment.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's just what, and she's doing this promo, and it's honestly not all that great. And she does mention she beat Becky for the NXT title, which the people did pop for. And then Becky says, "Well, I only fight where it matters. Doesn't matter here in Kansas City." So Lyra said, "Fine, Kansas, she doesn't want to wrestle here. Becky, I'll take you out of Backlash." So Becky escapes, and then they do their new favorite thing, which is Becky runs away, and they play Lyra's music. Lyra goes to celebrate, and Becky runs out and beats her ass. So, yeah. they'll be feuding. See, I think Becky is likely going to continue to get booed, but I mean, it's got to be the right person. It's got to be the right babyface. And even though Lyra, she won that title and everything, I don't think people see her as like a big charismatic star.
No.
She's just a friendly babyface right now.
Yeah. I don't think people take their secondary belts